You know, for over a decade now, all I've heard about is the future belongs to BRICS. That Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, that they were the rising powers of the global South. That soon they would be ready to knock the United States off its throne, smash the world order, and redraw the global map in their own image. You know what? It sounds powerful. They have 40% of the world's population, a third of the global GDP if you squinted at the projections just right. They got massive oil reserves, massive farmland, and massive ambition. They also had one extra thing, a massive fantasy. Because even before BRICS started expanding, bringing in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, the cracks were obvious. You can't build a real power bloc out of rivals. You can't forge a new world order when the leading members hate and fear each other more than they distrust America. China and India, they aren't friendly competitors. They're enemies with live borders, real battles, and blood on the ground. Their soldiers, they clash with clubs and barbed wire because they're under ceasefire rules. But make no mistake, the hatred is there. Russia's not leading anything anymore. It's limping, battered, sanctioned, bleeding influence, desperate to cling to anything that might keep it afloat. South Africa can't even keep the lights on. Its power grid collapses daily. Rolling blackouts are a way of life. Now Brazil is a country torn between left and right, north and south, unable to decide if it wants to build a new system or just profit from the old one. And China doesn't want partners. It wants vassals. It wants a world where Beijing gives the orders and everyone else falls in lines. This was never going to work. Not politically, not economically, not strategically. This was just some stupid dream of the Russians. This episode is sponsored by W Energy. When you're digging into the chaos of collapsing systems and broken alliances, you need real clarity. No sugar crashes, no jitters, just clean focus. That's why I use W, especially when breaking down huge shifts like this. Get 10% off your first order with the link in the description below. All right, now let's break it down. The dream wasn't just about military strength or land mass. It was financial warfare. They wanted to kill the dollar, replace SWIFT, build a BRICS currency that could challenge the global system. So far, it's failed miserably. Once you get past the slogans, the BRICS members don't even trust each other financially. India doesn't want China setting monetary policy. Brazil doesn't want its economy shackled to Russia's collapsing banking system. Saudi Arabia, they flirted with the idea, but when it came time to renew their oil deals, they stayed in dollars. And why wouldn't they? When the world gets ugly, when currencies crash, when markets freeze, there's still only one system stable enough to survive. And I know nobody wants to admit it, but it's the US anchored system. The BRICS fantasy was based on anger. Anger at Western dominance. Anger at being locked out of the elite club. But anger doesn't build a replacement. It doesn't create trade networks. It doesn't stabilize supply chains. It also doesn't guarantee security. And resentment doesn't create trust. BRICS today isn't a rising empire, it's a bargaining tool. A set of desperate players looking to cut better deals. With China, with the US, with anyone who will keep their economies afloat just a little longer. Just one more hit. The global South isn't launching a rebellion, it's scrambling for survival, and deep down, every serious government knows exactly where the real anchor is when the next crisis hits. It's not in BRICS, it's not in Shanghai, it's not in Moscow. Unfortunately, it's still in Washington. The unipolar moment is over, but the dream of BRICS-led alternative died right alongside it. The future isn't some neatly organized anti-American coalition. It's messy, it's regionalized, and it's going to be chaotic. America, for all its flaws, for all its internal fights and noise, still holds the system together better than anyone else out there. The world is fragmenting, the edges are fraying, but the center is still pretty strong. BRICS was never going to change that. This is Frank for America's Geopolitics. See you next time.